everybody, this is Dr. Novak again. Well, taking everything out of the box and looked at the cabinet closer. The cabinet has been stained in polyurethane. It is not that plastic coating. A couple differences is the hinges on here are not the European hinges. The top here on my old one had a crack, but this one does not. And the doors are, instead of using the European hinge with a spring on it to close your door, these use the magnetic type, okay, that open up, has a brace in the center of it. Everything's been polyurethane and stained. The top, I've already cut up that black matting, okay, and the aquarium goes on top of that. Cleaned everything off. This is pretty easy to do. Took me just a few minutes. The plywood that they use is actually, I measured it, it's actually a full 3/4 inch thick plywood, okay, that they're using on here. They're using a full 3/4 inch plywood. So that's pretty good. It's not 5/8, it's 3/4 inch. Now the aquarium itself, I got it all cleaned up, and instead of working on the cabinet like I was thinking of, because I'm going to put electrical in there, and I'll probably drill some holes in the back so the cords can go through. Yet the cords can actually go through here. Okay, you can, but I'm going to put them right where the electrical is. So that's one thing on my last one I did not do, but on this one I'm going to do it. And the first thing I thought I would do, because probably most of you want to see that part, is why the tank's down, it's still on the pellet. That's when I'm going to work on it. Before you get it in the house, get all that work done. But the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, I decided I'm going to work on the plenum. And here's all the materials I got. I think I showed this in another video. This is 1 inch high, and it will give me a nice plenum. Here I've connected up for the airlift. As you can see, the airlift here is going to be very small, 1/2 inch in diameter. That's okay. All we want is slight water movement. We don't need to rush water through the whole thing. There's only going to be one airlift, and I'll show you how I did this. Okay? The tools you're going to need is you're going to need some kind of a X-Acto knife of some sort. You're also going to need the next thing you're going to need is a step drill. You can buy at least going up to 3/4 of an inch. You can buy these step drills at Harbor Freight Tools, and you can get a set of 3 of them, different sizes. They're about 15 bucks, so they're very cheap, well worth the money for working with soft steel and plastic. Now on the left side is the undergravel plate. Once again, just go to Amazon, type in undergravel, and you'll find this. These all connect together, and of course the Lee's undergravel filter, round undergravel filter, is made for like small bowls, and I bought that. Once again, go to Amazon, and it's there. I think 5 or 6 bucks is all the Lee's costs. Pretty cheap. And I'm going to modify this and only use the Uplift Tube to this particular Amazon. First thing you're going to do is cut out the Uplift Tube holder. That's where your Uplift Tube will connect to this undergravel filter, and you can plug in your airline tubing to it. So you're going to get your X-Acto knife, cut it out, take your time. It's very easy. It's not a hard plastic to work with. Once you cut that out of there, the first thing I did is I sand it down, you know, cosmetically make it look nice. This doesn't take much time at all to get everything looking good. After you're done sanding, it should look like this. See, it looks pretty nice and flat. And this is the bottom of it. And of course, here's the top of it, all ready to go. And on the left-hand corner, you can see the top left-hand corner. That is where I'm going to put it. So this really doesn't have any holes in it, that top left-hand corner. You can buy a piece with the holes in it at that top left-hand corner, but why spend, you know, the $5 for one of these with a hole in it? So all I did is I took that step drill and I drilled all the way through that end with all the way with a 3/4 inch hole. It's pretty easy to do, and you don't have to buy the part that they sell on Amazon that already has the hole in it. Then all I did was just use this a rapid fuse glue and glued it down onto the piece and clamped it. And this glue is some pretty strong glue. I don't think it's not quite like your super glues. It's kind of like a super glue, but it's an all-purpose adhesive, and it seems to work pretty good. And I clamped it down for about 30 minutes, and it doesn't take long to dry, but I let it sit for overnight. And here's the end byproduct. So this piece is all ready to be inserted in the tank, and there's the uplift tube. You don't really need a big uplift tube, so I just made my own. This was easy. It didn't take long to do it, and this kind of stuff for me is fun, so I enjoy doing it. All right, I'm done fitting the plenum in, and there's the lift tube. And now what I have to do is go along the outside and put a screen in so the substrate doesn't fall underneath the outside. There's a gap there, and I'm going to have to fill those gaps in so the substrate doesn't fall underneath the plenum. And as you can see, there's the uplift tube. There's just going to be one, and it's back on the side there, out of the way, and that's all you need. So now I'm going to start fitting the plastic screen. Here is the plastic screen that I'm going to use. It's black, and that plastic screen is going to go right along the side here. And I'm going to glue it, probably hot glue it, to all the pieces. And I got enough plastic screen, and the screen was only $1 a piece, so that ought to work out pretty good. So I'm going to use this as my template, and I'm going to cut it so it's a little higher than the whole thing, and I'll hot glue it into place, and that will be it. The plenum, the bottom grit, is done, and it'll be ready for the substrate. Okay, so now what I'm doing here is I'm hot gluing. I cut some of the mesh that I showed you, and I'm now hot gluing the mesh onto some of the pieces. So all you have to do is just get a hot glue gun, and I use another piece to place behind it like this, line it up, make sure it's on the bottom. It is. And just hot glue it onto the let it sit so that glue cools down. A little messy, but that's okay. Not gonna hurt nothing. And that's basically it. Hot glue these together. It looks like that did it. Putting some hot glue on the side here. Now, when it's put back in the aquarium, the gravel won't migrate underneath here. And now I'll have a base to put the gravel, and I'm going to put 2 different kinds of substrate. So one substrate will go up so far, and then the other substrate will go on top of it. But this is to keep all the substrate from migrating off to the side, and then eventually it's going to cover it. So I'm going to have at least, I'm going to say, hopefully, at least going to have 2 inches above this grate substrate, hopefully 2 to 3 inches. And that should do it. But so that's what I'm doing. I don't care cosmetically how it looks because of the fact that you're never going to see it. And it's going to be in the aquarium. So there will be another one of these that goes all the way down to the side. And this will get glued onto the next pieces that I have in the aquarium. And then there'll be another piece that hooks up to here that's going to go across. Another one of these small ones will go across here, or a bigger one, whatever I decide. But that's how I'm doing it. That way, if you look, see, the substrate won't migrate underneath here. This will hold it back. And doesn't have to be perfect because you're never going to see it, but it's just so it stays together until I can get all the substrate in it. You're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of work. No, it's not. It's actually fun. It's just, you know, because to be honest with you, setting up the aquarium, you only do this once. You know what I mean? This is the fun part, because once the aquarium's set up, that's it. You're done. So you can make it as elaborate as you want, like I am, or you can make it as primitive as you want. You don't have to go through all this trouble if you don't want. I'm doing it because it's fun, and I know that once this tank is set up and it's set up right, I don't have to tear it down. I won't have to remove anything. I'm not worried about it. So to me, this is fun. This is the part of setting up the aquarium. And I'm going to keep putting along this edge so the substrate won't migrate underneath here, because see, it's perfectly flat. So anything I put in here is not going to migrate underneath here. And I'll keep going and finish up on the whole job. Okay, here it is. Everything has been trimmed, cut, glued. Now what the little fence here is where the kitty litter and laterite are going to go. And I don't want that to spill over, so that's why I made it higher. Kitty litter, laterite's going to go right in here, and then I'll pat it down, and then it's going to be topped off with the substrate that I got, the Fluval substrate. And if that flows over, then that's perfectly fine. But I don't want the kitty and laterite to migrate out of here and in between the walls. So cosmetically, it'll look nicer if you just have one substrate. So that really didn't take long at all. In fact, it was pretty easy to do. Trimmed it, cut it. You can cut it with an X-Acto knife. This is the under gravel plates I got off the internet, Amazon, and that's all you need, one bubbler, and that's a small one with the 1/2-inch diameter Uplift Tube. That was from a Lee filter for a Betta, and I'm just going to run the line close to here and probably bury the line and then bring it up to the side here of the line, so it's going to be black and you're not really going to see the line once it's all hooked up. And everything's been glued together. Now you just lift it up as one, put it in the tank, and it's ready to go. That's it. It really didn't take me very long to get this done. Maybe, hour and a half, 2 hours. That's it. Not very long. In fact, it was fun. The worst part of the whole thing, believe it or not, was the glue gun. You burn your fingers. If anyone's handled a glue gun, you're definitely going to get burned. But other than that, everything went real smooth with putting this together and cutting it, and it fits like a glove. So I'll put it inside the tank now. Okay, it's in the aquarium now, and as you can see, there's a little gap. There's a little gap between here. So when I put the Fluval substrate, I will pour it in where the gap is. And to make it look like it's solid filled, there's a gap on the sides there, which will work out just fine. And that's really it for that. It's finished. I will just I made this a little wider here because you have slits in there, so I'll put some of that Fluval substrate in there, and so they can still suck in if they do. But yeah, it's done. And I'll just pour the substrate on the side of the aquarium, and then kitty litter and laterite, and after that I'll top it off with the substrate, and that's it. You know, it's really not really quite that complicated. I don't understand what the big thing is. People say, it's a big hassle. I'm sorry, I just don't find it. This is the fun part. Because like I said, once the tank is up, I've had tanks like this up for 10, 15, 20 years. So as long as the tank holds together and doesn't break or split a seam, it's going to be up for a very, very long time. And this has so many legs underneath it that I may even add some of the gravel underneath it. Not gravel, it's It's the stuff that Eheim uses. I have a whole bunch of it. Let me show you what I mean. And here is the bag of the Eheim. So what I'm going to do is place this on the bottom of the aquarium, then put the under gravel on top of it. This is some stuff that Eheim sells. It looks like, it's almost like a pumice, but I wouldn't say it's pumice because if it was, it would float. And it's very heavy. So this is something that I'm going to place on the bottom, then put the plenum on top of this. Now this isn't my idea. This is just an idea that I got from one of the people who watched my YouTube video. He did it with some other stuff. And all this is going to do is sit below, underneath there. And since no dirt or anything is going to get to it, and since the water is going to be moving so slow, you're not going to have to worry about this clogging. And this will carry bacteria in it and create anoxic conditions underneath the plenum. Okay? Don't have to put much. There's quite a lot here. Look at that. There's quite a lot. So I think I even got more than this, come to think about it. But anyhow, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this, put it underneath the plate, and then after I'm done stacking everything up, the thing will be good to go. I won't have any problems with nitrates or phosphates or anything like that. I'm not going to have anything going on. You know, I understand it takes a little bit of more prep. That's what it is. I know you watch these videos, the guys, they just take their bags of stuff, stratum. I'm going to use stratum, but they may take their ADA, whatever, and all they do is that's got to be the easiest way of doing it, right? Just pour it on the bottom, make your substrate 2 inches, and start planting it up. But in the long term, this is going to go for years in the long term, and do what I wanted to do to cause me less headaches in the long run. Because the worst thing about all this is you go through all this trouble setting up a nice show aquarium like this, and you pay all this money, and then to have it turn into garbage with cyanobacteria and beard algae and everything else, and then it's no fun. But the good thing of it is that the plants get tired. If I have to pull them out, you just pull them out and replant them back in there. The laterite is going to last quite a long time. I won't have to tear this tank down ever, and because there's other ways of getting around without taking your substrate out of your aquarium. There's other ways of getting around to refertilizing that substrate, just like they would farmland or anything. There's other ways of doing it without having to tear down your complete aquarium. And this is the best time to do it when the tank is sitting here. You can't really see it, too much glare. But there's the 3 holes at the bottom. And 2 of them are going to be used for a drain, and 1 of them will be for the return pipe. And that's it. So this cost me, let's see, to make this $30 plus $1, about $5, $35. $35 to make this. Oh, and of course the little lift tube there, I don't know, what was that, $5 or $6. So you say $40. $40 to make this. Okay, which isn't bad. If you bought an under gravel filter, a big one, it would probably cost you at least $40 anyhow. So it was fun. It was very easy, easier than I thought, putting it together. Everything just snapped together. You can buy all the materials on Amazon for the under gravel plate and the Lee Uplift Tube there. You can buy that on Amazon also. The Eheim here, the extra Eheim stuff I'm putting here, that's just something I had, and I'm going to use it because of one of the fellows on my YouTube channel did it, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. With the oxygen levels being low, this will grow bacteria on it. It's not going to have to worry about water shear, so it's not going to have to build up a polymeric adhesive that will clog up the little pores in here. And boy, that's going to be a lot of bacteria colonization for this plenum. Well, can't do any more with the aquarium. Now I have to start working, of course, on the stand. I'll put some holes in the back of it for electrical cords, and then I have to put in some plug-ins. I'll do all that now before it gets moved. And other than that, it's going along pretty smoothly. That's it. Until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Have fun with your tanks.